All right. So here we are. It is day 8 officially of Level Up Lead Gen. So we've covered a lot in the past 8 days, which can obviously be a bit overwhelming as new or seasoned entrepreneurs trying to figure out what the next best step is for your business. This is always one of my favorite ones because it's something that, frankly, I invested over $90,000 in for myself. Got really good at it, and luckily now can do it by myself without needing to pay somebody just $3,000 a month to service just my SEO needs. So happy I made the investment, but also happy to be able to do it different and better myself now, which is a really cool thing as a business owner that I think all of us aspire to. And not so long ago, I was looking at a website that had, a couple thousand clicks a month, maybe 2,000, 3,000. Like I didn't have a great domain authority. I was just randomly writing blogs, or worse, I bought blogs that were sold to me when I became a sleep coach for a couple $100 as an upsell during our training. And the worst thing you could do is post the same blog as someone else. And to this day, they still give those blog posts out to the coaches, despite knowing how detrimental it is to you. But you know what? It's not my business. Just don't use them, because copying blogs is one of the ways that you can totally derail your entire search engine optimization. But it's so much more than that. And that's what we're going to cover today. Is we're going to start the session here with a training about SEO, and then we're going to go into actually a use case of someone who did the homework every day, and we did a snapshot of all the different things that were going on. So we could get a good picture of what you need to think about as an entrepreneur when you're in this business, right? Some folks in this are seasoned business owners. Some folks are just starting out going, what is the next right step? And that's the whole point of why I do this Level Up Lead Gen, because I'm trying to take you on a journey of things you need to consider and to complete in order to build a business. Okay, it is not, as we've said many times, but I feel like I have to say it again, field of dreams. Like you can't just put a website up and expect people to find you, right? The second you stop posting on social media, the algorithm doesn't know who you are, and you disappear into the abyss with no engagement or activity, right? And I focused my business on SEO because I saw the long-term and longevity in that particular model. And so it's something I'm really passionate about. As I said, I've invested at this point, probably, if not, it's definitely over 90,000, but might be 100,000 at this point, based on all the add-ons. But it's a lot of money over 3 years in my business, right? And it was something that I'm like super passionate about now because I've taught myself. The intention of being business owners is to learn and to grow in our experience and our knowledge and our understanding, right? I mean, it's software as a service. It's a type of education as a service. I paid a social media manager for 4 posts a week, $1,000 a month, right? And that was like standard rate, So it's like when you say the term 3,000 a month for SEO, well, if for 3,000 you could make 10,000, it's a worthy investment, right? So I think when people talk about all these different tools and everything I've taught you guys, you may be a bit overwhelmed, and that's okay. You've got to take what you're good at and what you're comfortable with as we get started. SEO is probably the easiest, frankly, for any business owner to do. We've talked about nurtures. We've talked about referrals. We've talked about affiliates. We've talked about freebies. Like there's a lot to unbox when you're starting a business, and it does take time. So definitely give yourself the grace with that. I wanted to remind you that the lab doors for the 500 off close tonight at midnight. If anybody is listening to this on the replay or anybody's interested in doing that, that goes away. The lab is always opened. You can join at any point for whatever the price is at the point you're ready to join. There's just a bit of incentive at the end of this, but other than that, that's the end of, the conversation on the lab. It's there, it's valuable. And when people are ready to get some next level coaching, they'll have that opportunity. There's other things that we do on the side, things like list building, as I've talked about, every OBGYN in Westchester, PA, right? Things like that. And then the strategic analysis of keywords and backlinks and websites and content strategy and where you're missing the mark. All of those things are certainly things that are available that we'll share. And just remember that everything's coming down tonight. So you have till midnight, catch up on the recordings, make sure you're feeling good. and we're going to pull everything down, and you'll be set up for success. And hopefully you've learned a lot during the past sessions. So SEO today, there's two tools that I'm going to teach you. One is free, one is $10 for probably a year. So definitely worthy of the investment, no matter how much money you make. And they're both really awesome. And I'm going to show you how to implement them in your business. So background on SEO. As I mentioned, I hired an agency, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years ago. And they're lovely. He's done some trainings for us for the lab for free. He's a wonderful human. I just didn't want to be paying that much money every month when I really started to understand what was happening and got really good at doing it myself. And I was able to confidently do it with Kelly. And we've successfully grown from when we stopped last summer to now another 5,000, right? We're very strategic about our content. We sit and look at the metrics. We look at the gap links. We look at the backlinks. We look at how and where we could grow in different ways. It is a comprehensive SEO strategy. It is not just black hat SEO where you're keyword stuffing or you pay some guy in another country to be your SEO king for $100. Don't ever do that because you will regret it for the next 5 years. There is somebody right now that's in my business coaching that did that and has thousands and thousands and thousands of bad links that is just derailing their SEO, and it's painful and taking 6+ months to fix. And they're losing a lot of money for it. So don't ever take shortcuts, guys. You may not get everything done you want right away, but slow and steady momentum is still momentum. Okay, let's jump into the two tools. I'm going to share my screen and walk you through those. And I'm going to show you how we do this on a month-to-month basis when we're trying to figure out the content that we want to rank for. So this gentleman, Neil, he is on Twitter. He is a lovely human, very smart, also an SEO expert. He runs a website that I've talked about before. So if you've come, this is not new to you, but sometimes good to listen again, right? His website is called answerthepublic.com. So you could come in here and type anything that you wanted about a topic or a brand or a search term, right? When should I go to the dentist with my baby? What is the date to file my taxes or whatever, right? Like you could think of any like long-term search or just tiny transitions and see what pops up to see what people are asking about, right? Common question, when will baby sleep through the night? Okay, so I'll use that for an example. We're looking at just the United States and we're looking at just English, okay? Very common question. You'll see up here, you get 3 daily searches. They have changed this since the last time I was out here. So a little bit more of it is now under the payment gateway than what used to be, but good for this guy because obviously he's monetizing something that people want. So if I was to come out here and search, when will baby sleep through the night? That's what's considered a long tail keyword. It is kind of a subsequent example to maybe baby sleep training, right? Or baby bedtime battles or whatever, people might be searching that will ultimately lead to the question of when will my baby sleep through the night? You also have things like why or when should we transition from 3 to 2 naps for baby, right? This is a new one. I'm actually doing this intentionally because I've never searched this because I want to show you something new. So you have to figure out what your target market is searching. How do I get a college scholarship for sports? How do I buy cherry pie on sale? When do I do the thing, right? So when you go out and search what it is that you're searching, you're going to have things that come up here inside of the answers. Of course, that one is a little bit too long, not great for example's sake, but let me do when will baby sleep through the night? Hold on. Let me just get in here. There, no, there you go, dismiss. I'm getting my login limit reached. They're definitely changing this site. But okay, so I did a search for when will baby sleep through the night. Again, you get 3 free searches a day and that's it. And then it shows the questions. So this is a good example of what somebody's searching. So you see here in the bright orange, these are like really common. And then it sort of scales down. So when you're watching this on the replay, you'll kind of notice search volume, cost per click, right? So the search volume is high, but so is the cost per click for these. But then when you get down here, you've got what I would say is more low-hanging fruit, right? Something that's probably more easy to rank for. And you can look at this wheel, which is done by like how, who, why, can, right? So all of these little sort of prepositions for that statement, right? When will baby sleep through the night? When can a baby sleep through the night without feeding? When do babies sleep through the night naturally? Let's see. How do babies sleep through the night? What age does baby sleep through the night? So you see the common theme here, guys, is sleep through the night. And then there's a whole bunch of millions of ways every month that parents are asking questions across, in this case, Google, in this case, in the United States. But as you can see, you can adjust it and then you get those answers. And it's highly searched, average searched, low search. I want to make a point, just like with Instagram, where you don't want to use hashtags that's like hashtag millennial, and there's like 40 billion posts on it, right? Or hashtag newborn. You're never going to get picked up for that, right? But you might get picked up for like hashtag newborn baby sleeping on back, right? There might not be as much competition. So people always try to be like, oh, my biggest competitor is taking care of babies. I'm like, no, it's not. You just opened your business a month ago. Calm down. Okay. That's not your biggest competitor. Your biggest competitor is when you sit in your Google and you type sleep consultant, Westchester, PA. Who comes up first? You want it to be you. Who comes up second? Hopefully not you. And who comes up third? Also hopefully not you, right? So when you're thinking about like, what are people doing in the space of SEO, don't try to compare yourself with somebody that's not the same as you. Okay. You got to start with that because, guys, people are searching all of these terms. And I'm going to show it to you in a little bit of a different way in a minute with the other tool. But this one starts to go in and show you a whole bunch of different ways and all the different keywords and all the different volume and cost per copy. Do not buy this tool right now, okay? I'm going to show you for the other tool where you get search volume and cost per clicks. I said cost per copy. I used to work at a copy company. That was where I spent 15 years in corporate. And so CPC means cost per copy to me sometimes, but it's cost per click, okay? So this is ABC, right? Like these are all the way through all the questions. This is really telling, friends, depending on your niche, who you're working with, like go out and do your 3 free searches. When you're sitting with your content calendar, as Kelly and I do, we're strategically going, hey, there's a keyword gap here. Hey, we need to hit this one. I just did reels based on that gap. And then I look at February and I go, oh, all right, today's February, today's March. March 6th, we're going to do 5-month-old sleep schedule for a reel. And that's going to be also my blog topic that's going out tomorrow, right? So everything we're writing is very strategic based on keyword gaps where we need to rank better. Now, this is a tool that's awesome. They go across all the different platforms, okay? And it's called Answer the Public. The other tool that goes along with this is something that I am obsessed with. I probably pay $10 like once or twice a year, depends on my search. It's called Keywords Everywhere. It automatically will put in for like $10 a plugin in Google Chrome, okay? What the plugin looks like is this little K right here, okay? And you get 100,000 searches. So right here, I have 90,472 left, right? So you're not Googling that much and you can turn it off and on. So if you don't want it to like tick away your credits, just turn it off till you need it. And then you're not wasting them and it lasts even longer. How does that one work? Well, like any traditional marketer, you're going to go out to Google. Hold on, not that one, just the main one. You can tell I have fake nails, guys. I never get my nails done. And I did about 3 weeks ago, and I can't type, and I can't wait till I can rip them off. But you have Google here, right? And you say, how long should a baby sleep in bassinet, right? So I ask a question. Now, the first thing that comes up is Huckleberry. And then right below Huckleberry, it is people also ask. Ding, 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 ding. That's what you need to write your content about, my friends. But that's not the best part. What you're seeing down here is keywords everywhere. Okay. So what's interesting is just yesterday, if you didn't read it or you're not up to date on the latest business news, Google is doing a massive update to their algorithm this month. And every single person who's been ripping off cheap, crappy ChatGPT blogs or putting out unoriginal content that's been given to them by someone, like how we are or were when I was a consultant under someone. And every month, 250 sleep coaches post the exact same blog post. Your site is going to be probably pretty detrimentally impacted because Google's going to figure out that you've copied it or that it's unoriginal. So they're doing a massive update to penalize people with unoriginal content in an effort to make relevancy of search and quality of search results better. Google's getting their tuchus kicked by TikTok as far as search engines goes. So they're really trying to figure out how to do different things to pull in the best possible answer for what somebody's searching. Now, what I searched was how long should a baby sleep in a bassinet? Look over here on the right. I can see that each month volume is 1,900, meaning there are 1,900 people searching how long should baby sleep in your room. Okay, so different than how long should people sleep in a bassinet. You can see right below that, 170 people are searching newborn sleeping in crib right away. I'll tell you, my kids, all of them, went into their own room, into the crib the night they came home from the hospital. We had a monitor, we had a safe sleep space, we were in a midget-sized house, and that worked best for our family. We felt safe and secure in that choice. Everybody's different. Okay. 170 people are asking the same question. Okay. Instead of trying to rank for top sleep consultant in the US where you're competing against everybody, or when will baby sleep through the night, and everybody's written a blog on that and you're never going to rank because it's your first blog post, write a blog post on this. Newborn sleeping in crib right away. You can put a crib in your room. You can get a mini crib in your room if you're more confident that you want to be in the same room as the parents. Me, babies are loud. You're going in your own space. You're going in your crib. You're safe. You're on your back. And I'm not sitting up all night staring at you. So as a family, we made a personal choice, right? You have to follow, obviously, all the guidelines with that. But like as that example, newborn sleeping in crib right away, 170 people are searching, guys. There's no competition for it. So it's like, all right, well, why don't I go after that one and write a blog on that? Okay. But you see right here, people also ask when you're writing your blog posts, don't just like randomly make stuff up, right? Strategically have a title. How long should a baby sleep in a bassinet? Question mark. That's your title. That's your header one on your new blog, right? Then in that blog, you write gangbusters content. When should baby stop sleeping in the bassinet? When can I move my baby to the crib? How do I know if my baby's too long for a bassinet? Can a 3-month-old sleep in a bassinet? What about can a newborn sleep in a crib right away, right? So in one blog post, you're answering all these different questions because these are all what are called header twos. It's something I talk about in the lab where I teach you how to write a properly structured blog post because Google, the first thing it looks at is your header one, right? That's your title. What's this blog about? And does it meet the needs of the person searching, right? Oh, and by the way, they have like 1/100th of a second to do it. Header two, what are all the other questions this blog answers, right? Google doesn't care how pretty your website looks. Google's looking at all the code on the back of your website to figure out if you're the right person to suggest the content. And there's a lot of other things that go into SEO, which we're going to get into. But when you're sitting here, the best advice I can give you as somebody trying to grow a business is to create content that is speaking to their need, right? We're doing an audit on somebody's website who did all the homework and they have no blog content. Okay. So if you're listening to this, you're going to know it's you in a minute, but you have no blog content, right? And I know we did email you telling we were doing it, but I know you're also on your way to the office, it sounded like, based on your email back. So you have no blog content. Like there is no new content. Google doesn't even know you're in business, right? There are sleep coaches of mine that I'm like, are they still in business? I haven't heard from them. They kind of dropped off the planet. I don't really know. And then I go out and I'm like, they look like they're still taking clients, but then like, I know that girl doesn't work for them anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to keep this stuff up to date because that's how Google knows that you're like still an active business, right? I deleted 77 people from ActiveCampaign just this morning that bounced, right? What does that mean? It means their emails are no longer valid for one reason or another. Half of them were probably sleep coaches based on my quick list of like, who did I delete? And let me make sure nobody yelled at me for deleting them. And I got rid of them because their emails are wrong. I don't need to send 77 emails to people that don't exist anymore. But when I quick glance, some of them were like at blah, blah, blah sleep, right? They're no longer in business. So, is their persona still out here? Is what Google's also saying is if your page is dead, the links are dead, the email's dead, like they're penalizing these companies and trying to get them out of search queries because businesses that are no longer in business are coming up. Okay. But answer the public and keywords everywhere are really cool for all this stuff. It's like NAP transition by age, right? And then you can go out and see like what the trend is, what the on-page difficulty is. Then it shows, again, people also ask, okay, and related keywords. So I searched nap transition by age, but Google is smart enough to know that 3 to 2 nap, dropping the nap, 4 to 3, 9-month-old transitions, one nap transitions. They're all getting volume. Guys, don't try to rank for 3 to 2 naps. You and every other sleep coach or you and every other pie maker, doesn't matter, are going to be searching for the same thing. But, guess who's this long tail keyword? That would be my blog title because 70 people are searching it. I'd rather be served up first to 70 people than served up on page 7 to 1,300, right? Nobody's getting to page 7. And this goes for anything. I can search, college, sports, scholarship, help, right? First thing that comes up, NCSA, find a college athletic scholarship by sport. Okay, helpful, but what else are people searching? What's the easiest college sport to get a scholarship in? How can I increase my chances of getting an athletic scholarship? Can sports help you get a scholarship? What can people do to get college athletes paid? And then over on the right, look at all the questions. These are parents going, athletic scholarship requirements, scholarship rules, college athletic scholarships by sport, college athletic scholarship facts, athletic scholarship appreciation form, athletic scholarships for international students, right? So people are also asking these questions in bulk. So you can see what's happening is there's a lot of cool stuff that's starting to get served up. This is Quora and Reddit. Google also announced this past week, if you're not up to date on the latest Google news, that they're starting to pull in more Quora and Reddit because those are actual conversations with people out in these platforms, right? It's not somebody writing for SEO. It's not somebody writing for the search platform or for the algorithm. They're writing for honesty and authenticity. And Google is changing things to bring more of this relevant content in. So just something to keep in mind, these two tools are awesome when you're trying to do content planning because you guys can't just shoot in the dark and write on things that you think will get you ranking. Like that's not how the world works. And if it does, you're going to waste a ton of time writing stuff that is not worth writing about. And that's where if you're not in for the lab, fine. Look at these strategic keyword content and SEO assessments. Who are your top 4 competitors? We will put them against you and we will determine where your keyword gaps are, where your opportunity to rank is, what content strategy should look like, where you're ranking in the US versus other parts of the world, right? And then ultimately, how fast is Google looking at you? How much is they looking at you? Like, what are your page load speeds? What's your domain authority, right? It's very fascinating how strategic you can get when you get into SEO. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to jump out now and we're going to do a little bit of an audit here for Baby Dream Coach, which is in Canada. And so we do a lot of work here with different tools that we purchased for our own use, right? We got rid of paying an agency, but we needed to understand what we were doing. And to be frank, we had purchased and used this system that we use at the same time we were paying for the agency because we wanted to see and felt like we could do a better job. And we actually could, right? So we use these tools every day for both the sleep coaching and the business coaching world. And I want to turn it over to Kelly and have her walk through this. I had her pull this morning for Baby Dream Coach. and just look at what does Google think of you, right? Because if you're great out on TikTok and you've got a following and you're getting business from TikTok, awesome, keep going. But please know that the second you stop posting TikToks, your business is gone, right? Strategically, I focused on SEO. We have an average of over 15,000 new and unique users to Tiny Transitions website every month. So my leads come in, and all I'm doing, my friends, is posting a blog post a week. I don't have to do TikTok. I don't have to do Instagram. Now I do have to do it for a business because I need to build a persona, but I didn't care for years about it because I didn't need to, and I'm not authentic out there. I'm great on camera, guys. I know that. That's fine. It's not cocky. It's just I'm great on camera. I don't like doing it. I don't like having my phone. I don't care to talk. I don't, like I'm out of my comfort zone, even though I'm really good at it there. Cause it's just, I don't want to be walking around my phone all the time, but like SEO, I can write like Rain Man at 5 a.m., so I really kind of, as I talked about last week, find what you're passionate about and hone in on doing it. SEO is a great investment from like a content standpoint. You don't have to pay $3,000 a month like I did. I would probably pay $497 and get us to do one of these for you so that you have your content for the next 6 to 12 months mapped out so that you know exactly who you're competing against, what they're ranking for, where you have the opportunity to rank versus where you'll never rank, and then what it looks like. Because if you're not paying attention to this stuff, which most people until they've done this with me have never even heard of, you're going to wish that you did. So I'm going to stop talking, turn it over to Kelly, put myself on mute so I can slam some water and have her kind of take you through this. Kelly, actually, I'll just keep control since it's already up and just tell me to go to the next slide then.
All right, that sounds great. So congrats to Lynn. She's not here, so she's not going to be able to interact with us. We did get that message right prior to our call today. So we will follow up with her to go through this in more detail at a later date. But basically, as Courtney just pointed out, with Answer the Public and keywords everywhere, the one thing that I always say is content is king. No matter what is happening in this crazy Google world and the changes that they make, it seems like anymore, it's like every other month to what the algorithm's going to be. The one thing that stays tried and true in this is the content that you're providing. Are you providing content that Google feels is relevant to your niche? So since Lynn is in the sleep coaching industry, I'm going to stick in sleep coaching. If you look at your authority score, right, in other areas of business, you want that authority score to be somewhere between like 40 and 60. In the sleep coaching space, because it is so niched down, 10 to 20 is a really, really good ranking. So if you can get your authority score between 10 and 20, while in the sleep consulting space, you are actually like hitting a triple on a baseball field. Like you feel really good about that. And most of you who are starting out, that authority score is going to be low. It's going to be anywhere from like 1 to 5. I know, the clients that Courtney and I have worked with in the lab, we've started at this exact 3 and we've gotten them, to 10 to 12 by doing the SEO audits, working with them on content creation. And again, it all comes back to content is king. You want quality content. You want quality backlinks. So, you don't want AI to be writing your blogs and putting out 7 blogs with backlinks to sites that aren't going to benefit you. So like when we look at SEO in general, the best practices are, figuring out what is your content. How do you then follow the SEO rules with that content? Courtney touched on that with, you find your topic and then you do your title tag and you make sure that the images that are part of your blog or your infographic have that, image alt tag. You make sure that your meta descriptions are right. So there's so much that goes into SEO, but in the end, once you get the content, the rest sort of falls into place. It becomes like that well-oiled machine. So Google looks at your domain authority. Google also looks at your backlinks, right? So backlinks, you want to have at least 25 backlinks. In an ideal world, you want between 50 and 60 backlinks. You want them to be high quality referring domains. So we've talked about this kind of throughout this week. In who do you partner with? Who do you recommend a lot? Are there products that you like that you could write a blog for and have that follow backlink? Don't just look for the latest and greatest directory or list there. You want it to be quality. So you'd rather have 13 quality backlinks like Lynn has than 60 Black Hat SEO backlinks. So as you're creating the content, you look at the partners or the people that you want to work with. You look at the opportunity for that follow backlink. You don't just want to go to the NIH and throw a link in one of your blogs to the NIH because that's taking you kind of outside of your realm. But if you're a gentle sleep coach and you're working with Kim and you're doing something specific for her, you're writing a blog for Kim, or you're working with Slumber Pod, who has a very high authority in the sleep world right now. Like those are the people that you want to be in your backlinks. So really it comes down to the content and the quality of what you're writing and who you're working with. And if you focus on those two things, you're going to see success in increasing your authority score, increasing your backlinks, and increasing the likelihood that Google's going to be happy with what you're doing and serving you up. So when we look at Lynn, she's at a 3, and that's not unusual for just starting out. I believe she started in 2022, so she's building her authority. She has the chance to knock it out of the park. Again, I have baseball on my mind today because I'm leaving for my son, so I apologize. I'm using a lot of baseball metaphors here because she does not have any blog content on her site. So what Lynn is ranking for is organically optimized on her website today. She has no additional content on that site to have Google serve her up for the like of, a wake window or Court, if you can go down to the net or go to the next slide, I should say. Because as you can see here, her organic traffic is not phenomenal, but you can see she's had some spikes here or there. So I'm going to assume, without having spoken with Lynn, she's done something during that time, whether it was, a post on social, something that she did caused those spikes, but she's not seeing like a significant growth curve where it stays. It's the up, the down, the up, the down. If you provide content on a continual basis, it becomes more of your steady line or growth line. Today, the two things that she's ranking for are coaching, sleep, and baby's dream. And those are, keywords that are somewhat branded to her practice itself. But in general, there's so much opportunity for Lynn and I believe many people on this call to take a look at this and take the organic position distribution from, spot number 50 and start moving that toward the 21, 11, 4, 1 and 3 in their distribution. You always want to try to get to that, top page, but now that there's not pages on Google and it's continuous scroll, as long as you're somewhere in the first 20, you're really definitely getting seen because people do scroll to see what is happening. So, she, again, today, coach sleeping, she's at position 77, right? The keyword volume is 50, and then baby's dream, she is on the SERP page for her branded keyword terms. So there's so much, as Court says, blue ocean in front of Lynn and growing this business. It's actually exciting to see, where she can go. So the next thing that we look at, if you want to go to the next slide, Court. we look at how she has her site done and what her keywords by intent are, right? So informational, 66% of her site is informational. It's her packages, it's her methodology, it's about her, it's more selling herself and selling her brand, which is fabulous. 33% is commercial. And I know many people use this tool and tactic in which my favorite products are. It's a great way to begin that backlink process as well, because the products that you are recommending, that you're generating traffic to their site or sales for their site, possibly even affiliate revenue for yourselves, that piece of the business, that's where you want to look for your backlink partners. Who can you write for? Who can you partner with? Because that's a trusted individual where you're actually out recommending those products. So we look at what we do, keywords by intent. We at Tiny Transitions, we don't do a ton of the commercial piece on our site. We don't try to have all the products that Courtney loves today. We focus more on the content and the partnerships with those brands. But those partnerships with those brands, for someone who's starting out, being able to set up that affiliate link, recommend those products, and begin to build those relationships is key in helping to create your content and helping to create your brand and your brand voice out in this market that, is becoming, oversaturated at this point in time. So how do you stand out? And it's who do you connect with most, and how do you have them help represent you? And I mean, we do that here at Tiny Transitions a lot with blog content, with podcast content, with Instagram takeovers. Court, what were you going to say?
I was just say, I think people get nervous at this, right? Because you're like, well, I'm a new coach. I've had one client in a year, right? Well, you've got to work on that, right? But you've also got to know that you have knowledge that you can share, right? And companies like SlumberPod, companies like all the swaddle baby companies, all the bottle companies. I mean, I at one point emailed Purple and was like, hey, we love sleep. And I see you guys don't have a ton of content for kids sleep and the importance of it. And kids sleep on full size beds and queen size beds. And do you have anybody to write content? And they didn't. And I probably got like 50 grand worth of Purple mattresses delivered to my door, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. And I wrote a couple blog posts and did a few lives. Okay. It was a great relationship. And I wasn't anybody fancy. I have 4,000 Instagram followers. You know what? But I created quality content that helped their readers. And I got a backlink from Purple or from Newsweek when I pitched an article, which I teach how to do in the lab, and they linked back. Like, that's how you have to think about, like, it doesn't have to be that you're going out to Motherly and pitching them. I wrote an email once to Ariana Huffington. I literally Googled her email address. You can find anything on Google. And I emailed her. I just emailed Ariana Huffington. I was like, hey, I love sleep. I work with kids on it. I know you love sleep. Just read your book. Great. Love to write for Thrive. And it took 2 weeks. Totally forgot I sent the email because it was probably one of my Rain Man sessions at 5 a.m. And she wrote back, copied 7 people in the email and was like, get her set up. Thanks. Good luck. You're amazing. Awesome. I love what you're doing. And that was it. Like, it was her because it was short and sweet, but like succinct. In 35 seconds, I was in Thrive, approved, and now I get backlinks from Thrive, right? Like, you guys have to think strategically about the content you're creating and where you're doing it. Everybody's doing this for SEO. So don't fool yourself. Okay. SlumberPod's looking at it. Merlin's looking at it. The Shutterstock, Shutterfly, Apple, like, everybody wants new, fresh content that's quality on their website, right? Because they're trying to curate stories, So if you have value or a product that you love, like the Serious Chill breast milk chiller, or this cute little penguin that's the timer, and you work with toddlers, right? Approach those brands and say, hey, like, I'm a pediatric sleep coach. We love your product. I'd be happy to write a blog post for you on how we use your product in our sleep routine. They will almost certainly take you up on it because they also know, one, it's new, fresh content. Two, it's a backlink back to them. Like, Everybody's playing the same game, guys. So don't fool yourself thinking that you're like going to have imposter syndrome because you're not big enough to like write for them. I love writing blogs and I'm good at it and I enjoy blog posts, right? I would much rather write a blog than do a reel. You got to find what you love, but like make no mistake, these companies are absolutely welcoming you with open arms. Okay?
You can go to the next slide, Court. So we weren't able to connect with Lynn, so I just actually pulled a couple sleep consultants. I did the thing everybody does, sleep consultants in Canada. So Lynn is Baby Dream Co. And then I pulled 3 others in Canada to kind of take a look and see, since she does not have any blog content whatsoever, you know, what is possible and where is she ranking against the others? And again, she's got no blog content. So you see our little triangle there with with the stop sign or the yellow sign saying, hey, there's something missing here. So, but it also gives us a look at the competitors who showed up on the top page of Google. And again, these may not be who she considers her direct competitors. We'll be doing this for her, but this is how we manage our business. And this is how we manage the other businesses and the other partners that we work with when it comes to these SEO audits. So we put in, you know, your area, we put in your competitors, and then it provides you, you know, with a complete and utter array of things to be able to filter by, right? It tells you if you did have content, it would tell you where you're weak, where you have the ability to get stronger. We always look at keyword difficulty, right? So we look at where is it possible, which is 50 and under, right? We like to look at the greens, but because Lynn doesn't have any content, there aren't really a whole lot of greens. Most of the greens that show up in the keyword difficulty is 20 and under, and it's just sleep coach near me, which she's already showing up for. So this just kind of gives you an idea with the Venn diagram of where you are to the competitors that you would provide us with for the report. Court, if you want to go to the next slide. So then based upon how we looked at that, how we filtered that down to keyword difficulty being possible, here are the topics that are coming up, and it's showing the intent, whether it's navigational, informational, commercial, right? Some of them don't make a whole lot of sense because sometimes one of these people could have been on the news. They could have done something for like Jill and the Beanstalk store, something like that. So they're ranking for things that Lynn will never want to rank for. But you can see from the majority of this list, and we just pulled a snapshot. Here are the topics. Here's where her competitors are ranking. And here's the opportunity. So here's the volume of the keywords. And again, this is more specific to you as a business if we were to run your SEO report. So, you know, right now, this is not going to be like the best picture because, again, Lynn has no content. So you're not seeing like where you rank versus where she would rank. But it does provide you with the results. So newborn witching hour, right? So for newborn witching hour, one of her competitors is ranking 46. The volume's not that high at 480, but there's 175,000 results based upon the newborn witching hour search, right? So this gives you an idea of topics that you might be missing on, so that you know your content over the course of the next couple of weeks could be, or even couple of months, because even if you add a blog a week, a blog a month, a blog every 2 months, you know, here are right here 10 ideas that you can take and look at that content. So what we do from here, if you go to the next slide, Court, what we do from here is we kind of take a look and we say, okay, well, what is the global volume of search, right? And I chose baby wake windows, right? And then you look at the questions that were asked, and you look at uh, the related topics around those questions. So this is where, the keywords everywhere really does kick in, or you run a Google query on 2-month-old sleep schedule and you look at, the people also ask, and you make sure in that 2-month-old sleep schedule blog post that you're going to do, you're answering those questions from Google as well. So this is kind of our SEO strategy at a high level. We do also look at, your website. We look at GT metrics to see how you're doing, make recommendations as to, your page load speed. So we do an overall analysis, but this is how we work at Tiny Transitions, how I work with my other clients to also make sure that we're doing all the right things. And again, the key metrics when you talk about SEO, I'll say it till I'm blue in my face, my days at Merlin, 100% taught us that SEO is your best friend. And, I've been blessed to be able to come on with Courtney and work through this with her. And like she said, Damon was great, but we can do this on our own, and we're doing incredible things for Tiny Transitions where it comes to ranking. So I don't think people spend enough time. We talk about content, we talk about Instagram, we talk about, getting your name out. When you figure out what your content is, use it across all your channels so that you're not recreating the wheel. You're not doing a reel on wake windows, but your blog's on the 5-month sleep regression and you're doing it all in 1 week. Plan out your week is going to be X. And then you take the pieces or those questions that come from the people also ask, and you make those the topics that you're talking about throughout that week.
And I think Ashika made a great point in her question. She said, how far out do you plan? Well, sometimes we plan for the year, Ashika, but it depends on what the topic is, right? So we know it's Safe Sleep Awareness Month, Breastfeeding Awareness Month, right? Like Stomach Cancer Awareness Month is November, right? It's the holidays. You got travel for Thanksgiving through Christmas. You've got daylight savings 2 times a year. We do plan certain content, certain guests, certain giveaways based on those major calendar events. But for the most part, we look at it at 2-month chunks, right? And then we go, oh my gosh, okay, well, we moved 27 spots from 52 down just on 8-month wake window. So let's do a second post on sample schedule for an 8-month-old where I can pull in 8-month wake window, right? So you're not writing the exact same blog 2 months later, but maybe this month I talk about 8-month sleep regression. Then I talk about 8-month wake window. Then the next month I talk about the 8-month developmental leaps. And then the next month I talk about the 8-month, I don't know, 8-month-old something. And like you're people like, I think too quickly are like, well, I wrote out a blog post once and I didn't rank. Like this is a job. Every month you have to be strategically creating that content. Right. So that's what you've got to think about. It's not like I'm going to write on the 8-month sleep regression and go from 96 to 12. What the heck is clicking? Something's clicking. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. But it's, oh, look at it. It's probably going to do the things again on Zoom. But it like every month it's about 2 months we look at, like I do February, March, and then we'll do April, May, right? And we go, okay, you jumped 12 here, but you lost this one. Do something on this one because you lost 2 spots and you were page 1. Now you're kind of I still go page 1, page 2, even though it's continuous scroll because after the first 10, there's 3 sponsored posts. So it's continuous scroll for 10, 3 sponsored posts, continuous scroll for 10, 3 sponsored posts. So you still want to be up there, page 1, 2. But, we look at those and go, shoot, I dropped off for 4-month sleep regression, like write something on that, right? And and they're not always as generic as that. I mean, we have very targeted searches, but like, guys, this is strategy. This isn't throw shit at the wall or see what my certification company is going to throw at me this month for topics. So it is strategy work. Like you're doing first your niche, right? And then where in that niche do you want to strategically rank, right? Because if you try to be the master for all of it, you're going to rank for none of it. So you got to niche in. I was talking to some folks about this just in the DMs or folks in the lab and they're like, I want to think this, I'm doing it this way. I'm like, then you got to speak to those people, right? If you're thinking about working with nannies and educating them on sleep, then you got to speak to them. What do they want? Well, they want the kid to nap well because it gives them an hour to guess what they do, right? While the baby's napping well. But if the baby's not napping well, guess what they do? Spend the whole day with a tired baby while parents are at work, right? So you got to look at that market positioning and go, all right, if I'm going to niche in and be a nanny sleep coach for just the nannies of all these babies, right? Then what are you going to charge for your product offering, right? What are you going to write about that speaks to the nannies? And then do you have an offer that supports them? Nannies aren't paying $1,000 to sleep train a baby. You know why? Because they're not making $1,000 to watch the kids. And the parents probably aren't going to pony up the money because they don't have to deal with it, especially if they have a night nurse, right? So you've got to figure out like, what is that market? And then what is the offering that makes sense for the value and price that you can use to speak to that person? And then when you find them through search, you sell them onto that product offering, right? So you got to think about things strategically. All of this is strategic, right? And we do a lot of that work with a bunch of different clients. So just something to keep in mind as you go through this, because, people can be overwhelmed. So don't be overwhelmed. Start with these tools that are very cheap and or free. Figure out your page load speeds. GT metrics, it's called, is a great one to test your website if you've never done that. And it'll tell you like, hey, your page load is a little bit too slow. F. Right? Like you got to get your page optimized because you have technical SEO, which is your sitemap and how your page loads, right? And then you have your kind of, I don't even know the sexy term for it, right? But it's like content SEO. Like what is Google outside of your structure looking at to rank? Because it's going to change, guys. It changes every month. Whenever somebody puts an algorithm update out, it changes. And it also throws people into a tailspin because they haven't done things to par. And then when there's an algorithm update, they go from page 1 to in the toilet because they tried to do it quick and cheap. SEO is not quick and cheap. Okay. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it's not something you can crowbar $100 on Upwork to some guy and tell him to optimize your page and expect you're going to get good results from that. Don't ever do that because you will pay for it for months, if not years. Okay. Just take time, write content, write one blog post. Even if you can only start with one blog post every 2 weeks, do that, right? Sit for an hour, write the post, and that's the best SEO you're going to get because that's what Google wants. It wants to serve up good quality new content to people. Okay. Anything else, Kel? Because we were going to have all of our amazing lab members jumping in a minute. So
No, I think that's it. It's SEO is definitely your friend. And like Courtney did say, you can't write one blog and then expect to rank. It's a continual process. But it is well worth it because for the long term of your business, it will keep you coming back. It will keep your customers coming back to the top, finding you in Google. So that's all I can really say. I'm a firm believer.
So Ashika just asked really quick, and I know what the question's going to be. I was like, this will be a topic for the next newsletter. Alt tags. So Ashika, I'm actually going to cover it with an example in the newsletter, one, because it'll get you to open the newsletter next week that I send out for all of you. But it is something that Google will read, but it's going to make way more sense for somebody who's not technical to understand what I'm talking about and why they're so important, and then show you some of the black hat things people do to try to sneak things into those alt tags to rank as well, which you have to be careful of. So I'll cover that on Monday next week, just so I don't cut you off. Okay. But it's a great question and something that's super important that you do. And I'll talk about, like, I'll kind of do a little sample where I show you how I do it when I post my next blog post. I'm actually due to write one for somebody. Nestle? I don't know. I've got to write one for somebody. Actually, I got to write three. I got to write 3 blog posts for Belly Baloo too. I'm busy. I got 3 blog posts to write. So that's what I'm going to be doing Friday, but I will use one of those as an example to show you guys how to do the alt tags so you understand it. And then, yeah, we're here. Happy to help. And we'll send the recap out later today. So I hope everybody has a good day. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk soon. All right. Bye for now.